The hotel ballroom erupted in laughter as my sister's words cut through the champagne haze. Even my big sister made it tonight, flying all the way from wherever she guards doors now. Every muscle in my body tensed as my mother's voice joined in, louder than necessary. She's the shame of this family, but at least she's punctual. My vision narrowed to pinpoints, the room's elegant chandeliers blurring into streaks of light. The wedding rehearsal dinner, an event I'd flown 8,000 miles to attend, had just become my public execution. The carefully arranged seating chart, the mismatched napkin at my place setting, the whispered word security when I'd entered in uniform, it all suddenly made terrible sense. I wasn't invited as family. I was invited as a prop. My name is Olivia. I'm 38 and a major general in the Army. This is the story of how I reclaimed my place at the table they tried to erase me from. 6 years of silence had passed since I'd heard my parents' voices in any form other than a voicemail forwarded by mistake. No calls on my birthday, no messages when I nearly lost my hearing in combat. Just cold, curated silence. And yet here I was, holding a wedding invitation with heavy cardstock and gold-embossed lettering. Major General Olivia Naylor. Not Liv, not their daughter, just a title. As if that made me easier to stomach. The invitation had been forwarded to my military address through official channels, bypassing my personal contact information they didn't have. It had sat on my desk like a dare for weeks. A handwritten note inside contained just one word. Behave. Not we miss you, not hope to see you. Just that single command, like I was a threat. I hadn't expected warmth, but I also hadn't anticipated this. Public humiliation orchestrated by my own family. As everyone laughed at my mother's joke, I didn't get angry. I didn't cry. I stood up slowly, lifted my untouched champagne glass, and took a calm sip. The silence that followed didn't come because I shouted. It came because I didn't. I set my glass down precisely and spoke clearly. The people I guard outrank everyone in this room. 7 words, no emotion, just fact. No one laughed after that, not because they understood, but because for the first time, they didn't know where to place me anymore. I remained standing, not because I had something more to say, but because for once, I needed them to see me, not guess, not assume, not avoid. My sister Reagan's smile faltered. The microphone trembled slightly in her manicured hand. This wasn't how her script was supposed to play out. I was meant to shrink, to accept my assigned role as family disappointment. And then I saw him, Jason, Reagan's fiancé, standing at the far end of the ballroom. His jaw was tight, eyes locked on mine. He didn't laugh, he didn't smile. He just walked, slow, steady, with that soldier's gait you can't fake. Past the cousins, the neighbors, the friends of friends. He moved past my mother, who whispered something sharp that he ignored, past Reagan, who froze mid-glance and clutched her champagne like it might save her. He stopped 1 pace away from me, not close, not casual, formal, and then he saluted, crisp, sharp, regulation perfect. Clear enough to cut through every chandelier and every lie in the room, he said, "This is Major General Olivia Naylor, my commanding officer. Please forgive my wife." The gasp was audible before you could see who it came from. Reagan's smile shattered. Her eyes went wide. The microphone slipped from her hand, hit the floor, and thudded like a gavel. She swayed, then collapsed into a nearby chair. Someone screamed. A flute of champagne shattered. My mother stood so fast her chair toppled, but I didn't blink because this wasn't revenge. This was recognition, and it was long overdue. The ballroom froze. Not with panic, but with something colder. Realization. Then, from one of the side tables near the wine bar, a man in uniform stood. Colonel Franklin, retired but still proud. He raised his hand in salute. No words, just respect. Then another, General Price. Then a third, an older woman I didn't recognize but whose eyes said everything. She'd worn stars once, too. 4 salutes, 4 truths made visible, and no one could unsee it now. My mother tried to speak. "This is not the time," But no one was looking at her anymore. The eyes in the room had shifted, not because I'd asked for them to, but because they finally understood what they'd erased. And just like that, the shame they'd thrown on me fell back on them, quiet but heavy. Jason lowered his salute. He stepped back, giving me the floor without saying another word. I didn't take the microphone. I didn't raise my voice. I just stood there. And somehow, that was louder than anything they'd ever said to me. 2 days later, after skipping the actual wedding ceremony, I sat across from my mother in the hotel lounge. She had texted my temporary room number requesting to meet, and I had agreed. Velvet chairs, dim lamps, hushed voices. The kind of place where secrets didn't echo. Barbara Naylor wore a pale cardigan and a blouse with pearl buttons. Not one was undone. "You certainly made a statement," she said without reaching for me, without smiling. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. She took a sip of her cold coffee. "The media is buzzing. Some of the headlines are flattering, some aren't. Still nothing from me." "I wasn't prepared," she continued. "None of us were. Not Reagan, not even your father, if he was still—" "Reagan fainted," I said flatly. Barbara blinked. "She has sensitivities." "To truth?" I asked, "or to not being the center of attention?" Her grip on the cup tightened. "I didn't come to fight." "Then why did you come?" I asked. She hesitated, then leaned forward slightly. "I thought maybe you could release a statement, something neutral, clarifying that we, didn't fully understand your position." There it was. "Let me get this straight," I said slowly. "You want me to issue a press statement, not to correct a lie, but to protect your discomfort." She flinched, slight, but I caught it. "You have to understand," she said. "We didn't mean to hurt you. I was trying to protect the family's image. You were different. Loud." "I wasn't loud," I replied. "I was visible. That's not the same thing." I reached into my leather folio and slid a document across the table. She didn't touch it, just stared. "This was sent 7 years ago," I said. "An anonymous tip to the Military Ethics Board alleging I falsified combat reports, questioned the validity of my Bronze Star, claimed I was unstable, politically promoted." Barbara didn't blink. "I was passed over for my first star that year," I continued. "No explanation, just silence." "That could have been anyone," she said quickly. "You're a public figure." I slid the second page forward. "Linguistic analysis, military use only. Cross-referenced writing patterns, sentence structure, phrases." I tapped the bottom line. 96% match. Reagan Naylor, secondary lexical contributor. Barbara Naylor. Barbara's lips parted, then closed again. For the first time, I saw it. The crack behind the pearl buttons. "You," she started. "I didn't write it." "But you gave her the language," I said. "The access, the documents, the tone. She sent it, but it was your fingerprints." She looked down at her coffee. It had gone cold. "You didn't just ignore me, Mother," I said. "You sabotaged me. Quietly, professionally, efficiently." Her eyes welled, but no tears fell. "I made choices," she whispered, "and I paid for them. I didn't stop loving you." "No," I replied. "You just stopped calling." The silence that followed wasn't angry. It was heavier than that. "Do you have any idea what it feels like," I said, "to watch your mother pretend you don't exist?" Her voice cracked. "I was trying to protect your sister. She couldn't compete with—" "She didn't have to compete," I said sharply. "She just had to show up, and you made sure I was too buried to be seen." Barbara looked older in that moment. Not softer, just exhausted. She reached a hand halfway across the table. "I never wanted to lose you." "You didn't lose me," I said. "You pushed me out the door, then blamed me for not coming home." She said nothing. Her hand stayed hovering, never landed. "If someone asks why I stopped coming," I continued, "don't say I drifted. Don't tell them it was complicated. Tell them the truth. You made a choice, and so did I." I stood, leaving the documents on the table. She didn't chase me. That's the thing about betrayal by your own mother. It doesn't need a raised voice. It just needs silence and paperwork. 6 months later, the breeze off the Amalfi Coast smelled like salt and lemon. I stood barefoot on the terrace of a small cottage tucked into the cliffs, a cup of dark espresso in one hand, the sea stretching out below me like it had nothing to prove. For the first time in years, I felt still. No orders, no dress codes, no ceremonies or salutes, just morning light, canvas, and silence that didn't punish me for existing. The press never got the statement they wanted. I didn't give them a quote or a sound bite. Just one moment, one salute that said everything, and that was enough. The clip from the wedding went viral. Over 3 million views in the first 48 hours. The caption read, "They mocked her until her rank silenced the room." I never commented, never shared it, never explained. I didn't need to. Weeks after the wedding incident, the Pentagon called. They offered me the chair position on the new Joint Ethics Advisory Board, a seat built, ironically, out of the very betrayal that tried to break me. But I said no. Instead, I requested early retirement, which was approved given my service record, and I launched the Resilience Foundation, a national resource for service members whose careers have been sabotaged by the people closest to them, spouses, siblings, parents. We help them rebuild not just their clearance, but their confidence. Because sometimes the biggest battles aren't fought in uniform. They're fought at dinner tables, in family group chats, in empty seats at funerals. The irony, the people who worked hardest to erase me are the ones who made me unforgettable. A few months ago, my mother sent a letter, handwritten. She found my address through a mutual military connection. She said she watched my interview on PBS, the one about betrayal and chain of command. She wrote, "Period. I didn't realize how far you had climbed. I wish I had seen you then." But that's the thing. She did see me. She just didn't want to. And now she doesn't get access to who I've become. Not because I hate her, but because I finally love myself enough to choose distance without guilt. The military taught me how to lead under fire. But exile? My family taught me that. So I made peace with it. This morning, the boy from the village came by with a basket of bread and olives. He asked in broken English, "Were you really a general?" I smiled. "Once," I said. "Now I'm just someone who decided not to disappear." He grinned and ran off barefoot and laughing. I turned back toward the sea, and for the first time, the silence didn't hurt. Have you ever had to walk away, not to hurt them, but to finally protect yourself? I'm not asking for details, just if this story reminded you of someone, or some silence you've lived through, tell me you're here. That's it. Just drop a heart or a word. I'll read them all. Thank you for staying with me through this story. If you felt seen, even just for a moment, then I'm glad we found each other. Before you go, here's a quick bonus for sticking around. If you love learning and growing like I do, you need to try audiobooks. I've got an exclusive deal with Audible. Your first month is completely free. That's access to over 500,000 titles. Zero cost to you. All the details are waiting in the description. Don't miss this one.